Alrighty, let's get into this one. So here we go. This is the real reason that men are quietly giving up.
I was looking at some stats earlier on that said there's been increased sexual inactivity amongst young men, which is an interesting stat. It's risen to almost 31% of men between the ages of 18 and 24 reporting no sexual activity in the past year. So that's almost doubled in about the space of 18 years.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting stat. High suicide rates amongst men. Men account for nearly 80% of all suicides in the US. The highest rate observed among 45 to 64-year-olds globally. Suicide is the leading cause of death amongst young men. And a survey conducted in the UK found that an increasing amount of men feel hopeless and worthless and that are struggling with finding meaning and purpose in the world. The plight of young men. You talk in your books and in your work about how the role of a man has changed and how that this might not be necessarily productive for the health and well-being of a man.
Yeah, we've taken away their purpose. When you take a human being's purpose away, remember the purpose for men was to protect their family, it was to hunt in the old days, feed their families, but it was also to protect their families. It was to provide for their families. And what we've done in reversing everything is, although we raised up women, and there are certainly positive things about raising up women, but when we raised up women, we denigrated men. And I have 2 sons, so this is very personal for me. And I also see a lot of young men in my practice, young adult men. And what I'll say is that they feel discouraged, they feel purposeless, they feel diminished. And there has been something vengeful, I think, about... So the feminist movement was meant to give women choice and to balance off what was imbalanced in society.
Yeah, before she gets into the whole feminist part, but yeah, feminism is a huge part of it. It's all by design, of course. It's central banking has to do with it. Things are a lot more expensive now. Before I get into that, if you look back in the 1950s, yeah, there were men, simple-minded men. Well, anyone, right, could find a job that paid enough so that they could start a family, right? I mean, yeah, you still had attorneys, you had doctors, you had dentists, but then you also had the man who was just a normal guy, right? And the entry point, the bar wasn't so high. You weren't priced out of having a family for a long time. And now, because of central banking, because of feminism, because of DEI, because of all of these agendas that we have going on all at once, that have been going on for a very long time, there's just so much to point to. But social media is another part of that, because a lot of men are self-deleting, and social media has it's all about inflation. Social media has inflated women's egos. It has inflated expectations, right, that people have for themselves, that women have for men, that men have for women. There's a lot of comparison going on. There's a lot of competition between men and women. And when you have competition between men and women, then they don't get along. They're not supposed to compete. Men are supposed to compete with men, right? For women. There's so much to point to, but yeah, she's going to dive into feminism. And if you read Rachel Wilson's book, you understand that feminism was never grassroots. It was never a grassroots movement. It didn't naturally come about. It was an agenda. It's always been an agenda. It has always been from the top down. It's been funded from the top down. And yeah, it's caused women, instead of having the mentality that, oh, I need to do A, B, and C so that I can be a suitable wife and then also a suitable mother. Women are pursuing careers. They're not pursuing motherhood. There are very few women that you stumble upon that aren't tatted, pierced, with their hair dyed, and wanting to be a stay-at-home mom. You don't see that. You see women that want to enter the workforce because that's freedom, right? That's equality. And men and women are not equal. They just aren't, right? Equal in dignity, of course. Yes, women, men, equal in dignity. But as far as their roles in society, absolutely not. And yes, whenever you take away a man's purpose, which is also, well, the man's work is his purpose, and he does that specifically so he can have a family. So he's been priced out of the family, and it's hard for him to find a job that will qualify him to have a family, right? So we are at a tipping point in our society, and a lot of people they're just opting out. Unfortunately, they're opting out permanently, a lot of them. But in other ways, we're opting out of just, all right, well, I can't have this, I can't have that. Also, a lot of aspects of life are just insufferable. People are insufferable, women are insufferable, right? Going on a dating app is a bad idea. Just in the past 5-10 years, things have changed dramatically in the dating market. And with people have changed. So much has changed. There's a lot to point to. I'm kind of going from here to here to here. Let's just continue on, see what she's going to say.
But there's something vengeful about it. I think at moments I feel like there's something vengeful about the modern feminist movement, which is let's get them, let's diminish them, let's take over, let's push them out, let's beat them up, let's get, let's show them something really vengeful. So so for me, the feminist movement was meant to create balance. It wasn't meant to, it wasn't meant to set into.
It was never meant to do that, lady.
To play this other kind of imbalance. And, more than, I think 60% of universities are women now, as well as graduate schools. And so that means, and the studies show that
means you have more indoctrinated women, right? Because that's where, when you go to university, you're not going to really learn and get higher education. You're getting a useless diploma, right? And there's and a lot of women go into psychology, right? They go into the social sciences, and that's where a lot of the Marxism comes into play. A lot of the feminism, the gender studies, that's where they go and get brainwashed. So 60% of women are getting heavily brainwashed, and a lot of men. Enrollment is down with men, which I think is a good thing. You don't need college to be successful. And a lot of people go to college, they're not intelligent. Education does not equate intelligence. It just doesn't.
Men will marry at their educational level or below. Women will only marry at their educational level or above. And by diminishing men so much in terms of our education and professions, we've basically taken men's purpose away. They feel purposeless. And the other thing is, and I'm going to say, when men stay home to nurture their children, now remember, as mammals, we have defined roles. That is not instinctual for men to stay home and nurture their young. It's a reverse of
it's not
something. And the issue there is that there's an inverse relationship between oxytocin and testosterone. The higher the oxytocin, guess what?
The lower the testosterone.
Yes.
So if we're staying at home bonding, then
there's
our
a reason
testosterone
for
drops.
that. So mammals, when they are nurturing their young, they don't want somebody mating with them. Go away, right? So the idea is that when a female nurtures, she doesn't want to have sex. She doesn't want to, right? So the investment in nurturing pushes away the investment in mating.
And this is why I've read so many stats around men's testosterone dropping when they become fathers. Some Yeah, I couldn't believe that was true when I read it.
It's true. There was some studies to talk about how women's testosterone goes up. Women have testosterone. When they're out in the work world fighting like men, that their testosterone goes up. And men's testosterone, when they stay home, goes down. Now, what that's doing for sex lives, there's some research about, that is the next wave, which is what does it do to sex lives? Because men have to perform. They have to get it up, to be crude.
Tell me about it.
And so if your testosterone is low, you're not going to get it up, right? Which is why there's all this Viagra and these patches and supplements and, because it's not instinctually normal for husbands to stay home and nurture their children. And that's the inconvenient truth. How that affects men's and women's sex life when women come home from their banking jobs and their law jobs, do their husbands not want to have sex with them? And, is that breaking up? So this is I think this is the next wave of, we've reversed things societally so fast. And then we hope that our evolutionary bodily responses are just going to catch up in mere.
It's just not going to happen. There's no way for that to catch up. There's no way for this to just reverse without there being a collapse, without there being a tipping point, some type of collapse, right? I mean, our birth rates are low. They're below replacement level. Yes, we've seen the complete feminization of men. Our society is completely feminized. Women are masculine. Men are feminine, right? Their T levels are really low. A lot of them are depressed because of that. They're depressed because they can't find a decent job. They're depressed because they can't have kids. They're depressed because they can't find a suitable woman to marry and have a family with. So men are now having to survive by being alone because our society doesn't help us be fathers. I remember in the beginning of my custody battle. So you have here in Michigan, you have with the friend of the court, there's called the investigator, right? It's your assigned caseworker at the friend of the court. And so I was dealing with some issues with the other parent, and I was just looking for some help from this guy. And this is what he told me. He said, James, I can't help you be a dad, but I can help you not be a dad. Or I think he said parent. He's like, I can't help you be a parent, but I can help you not be a parent. That's what he said. So I was just trying to get some help because there was injustice going on in my world, and he did nothing about it. That's the thing, is that the systems, the incentives in these systems, it's all about money. And to get that money, you got to push dads out, right? You got to reward women with custody most of the time, with unilateral control over the kid's life. As a man, you want to be able to have influence over your kids, over your children, and you want to be able to be in the role 100%. But that is not the case for me and for a lot of men, the ones that actually end up having children, right? But end up in these very high conflict situations. I love being a parent, but it is very stressful in my particular context. So a lot of men see men like me and they say, no, I really do want a family. I want kids, but not, I don't want to go through that. That looks awful. It is. It sucks. Men don't want to have to go through that. Thanks to feminism, that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're contending with. It has infected all of these institutions. The workplace, right? Everything is feminized. Everything is there's gynofascism. Everything has been taken over by women, right? It's been commandeered by women, and the policies benefit women. They don't benefit men. DEI does not benefit white dudes. It just doesn't. So that's where we're at. And it's depressing to live in this world. knowing all of this, and there's really nothing that you can do. You just have to wait it out, right? And protect yourself the best that you can. Maybe you find something worthwhile, right? Maybe you find a woman out there that's good enough, that doesn't have high expectations, that's kind, that has no tattoos, has no piercings, is not indoctrinated with feminism, that doesn't have that Disney princess mentality. But good luck. Good luck. I don't know where they're at. Do you? Does anyone? Right?
Nearly a century. And it just doesn't, evolution doesn't work like that. It takes hundreds, if not thousands of years to change our bodily evolutionary responses, right? Our instinctual responses. So this is, it's problematic. And also when men's testosterone goes down, they get depressed.
Yep.
So they don't perform sexually well. They get depressed. They feel purposeless. They can't do what they're instinctually supposed to do, which is provide, protect, hunt. We talk about DEI. I mean, why aren't we talking about DEI when it comes to men and women? Why aren't we talking about balancing the scales, giving men purpose again?
Because feminism was about pushing men down and women gaining superiority. That was the whole point. And to, of course, tax the other half of the population. There are a bunch of other agendas in place with that, but it's to abolish the family. It's to destroy the family. It's communism, right? The collectivists, the Jacobins, they want to destroy the family.
Honestly, we should be talking about what happens to men when they actually do stay home and nurture their young.
Is there stats to support the idea that if you're at home raising your kids as a man, you struggle in the bedroom?
Dude, that's stay-at-home dad stuff. Heck no. Right? We're seeing stay-at-home dads. Really? Yeah. Men are not supposed to be stay-at-home dads. For all you married men out there, and your wife is out working and you're staying at home, what the heck, dude? What the heck? That's wrong. That is not what men are supposed to do. I don't care if you say that it works for us, right? It fits our needs. It's inverted. It's completely inverted. No.
So there was some research.
Your wife does not respect you. She will leave you, right? That's some beta shit right there.
I know that was going on about that, how it affects sex drive. But when your testosterone goes down, it does affect sex drive.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not talking about it. So I have anecdotal patients. I have a patient who
because our society doesn't care about the men's issues, especially that one.
Whose wife was a hardcore woman in finance. And, he lost interest in her. He had to go out of the marriage and have affairs with women who were more feminine, who were more, so he could feel as if he could play that masculine role. He could.
Yeah. Oh God, a finance woman. Yeah. She was definitely super masculine. Are you kidding me, dude? Oh my gosh. Yeah. He made the mistake of marrying that woman who is in that role. That is not a wife right there, man. Nah, you basically married another dude.
Couldn't do that in his marriage. And so are we going to see kind of a shift in society as a result of this? We're already seeing it. I mean, the other thing that we're doing is to young boys. Let's talk about what we're doing to young boys. This starts very young. We basically educate young boys in a way that really favors girls.
Yeah.
From a very young age, we talk about being able to sit quietly and regulate your emotions and not be aggressive and not be impulsive. And these little boys are being diagnosed with ADHD, many of them just for being little boys. Little boys need.
Yeah, when I was 9 years old in fourth grade, Mrs. Tensley, my social studies teacher, I was literally just being a boy, a 9-year-old boy. That's what I was doing. And she told my parents, I think he might have ADHD. And so I had to go get tested. And the doctor just decided, yeah, he's a 9-year-old. That's it. He's a 9-year-old. And that was at the time when they were just handing out Ritalin like candy. and just all of the medications that are just causing such harm. The Ritalin, right? The whatever that other medication is for ADHD, I forget. And the antidepressants, all the SSRIs. We are a Prozac nation, and there's even conditions with SSRIs where you can no longer feel emotion. You can no longer feel connection or love to people. It's destroying people neurologically, and they can't even perform sexually. They're numb down there, right? I saw a video of a woman talking about that, right, where her clitoris is numb because of SSRIs. That's what she was concluding. So there's a lot. There's so much. Our society is so overwhelming. Just the what they're putting in the food, what they're putting, just everything that we consume has something in it that all these endocrine disruptors, right? Allegedly, YouTube, allegedly. This is just what I'm hearing, okay?
Need to run around. They have a lot of physical energy. They have tons of testosterone. When you're like between 3 and 6, you have a surge of testosterone, and all you want to do is run and jump and play and be outside. And what we're doing, we're putting them in school, making them sit in circle time. So we marginalize them, we label them, we say they have a problem, we say that they have ADHD, they have behavioral problems. And in many of them, the stress that I talked about is the stress of making little boys be more like little girls.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts. And so then
they're teaching boys to adjust themselves for girls, but they don't teach girls to adjust themselves for boys, right? That would be sexist.
They go into childhood, and again, the educational system favors the way girls learn, not the way boys learn. How do boys learn? Boys have attention spans for very short periods of time, and then they need lots of physical activity. So ideally, if you go to and look at the boys' schools, what do? They run the boys like running the dogs in the park. They sit for 45 minutes or half an hour, but then the boys get time off to run around. And then they'll sit another half an hour, and then they'll run around. I mean, they have like 4 recess periods a day. And so that's really better for boys. And little girls have more of a capacity to sit quietly in circle time and sort of, they don't have as much testosterone. They don't have that need to run and jump and play to the same degree that little boys do. They do need to play. We're not letting our kids play, boys and girls, because we're trying to force left brain development on them too.
It's the Prussian model that we're forcing them into this 9-to-5 routine. It's by design, Rockefeller, right? To create a nation of workers, not thinkers. That's the whole point, right? It just completely destroys each child's individuality, and then they can indoctrinate them the way that they see fit so that they can, get jobs and be employees and pay taxes into the system and feed the system, right? Be a battery for the machine. That is why, it takes the soul out of you.
Too early, but we are forcing little boys into this box, and they're not doing well in that box. And then they're labeled. They're labeled as having behavioral problems, ADHD, and that label then follows them through childhood, sometimes into middle school, into high school. Yeah.
What would you change? I make you prime minister of the world, president of the world, and you can fix this issue.
Oh, I would have little boys educated separately than little girls in the early years. In the early years, I would have boys' schools and girls' schools because little girls learn differently. And also, there's been a lot of evidence to show that in the early years, when you do single gender education, little girls will try things, will take risks with things that they wouldn't in front of little boys, and little boys will try things that they wouldn't take risks in front of little girls. Like little boys are more likely to try art and painting and music. Little girls are more likely to try STEM and math and, all these things that we talk about little girls should do. So the idea is that single gender education in the early years is better for little kids because they learn differently.
What about as it relates to men? What would you change to fix the issue?
Well, they're trying to push women into STEM when that's not. plenty of people have talked about this, where men are more interested in things and women are more interested in people, meaning that men like doing work that involves working with something, right? Being an auto mechanic, being an engineer, right? Whereas women, they're more nurturing, they're more agreeable. They want to interact with people. So, yeah, but they're trying to turn women into men and trying to turn men into women, and they've succeeded in so many ways, more ways than one. There was an article that this is something that is very it's connected to this. It was written by Wired Magazine, April 1st, 2000, and it's titled "Why the Future Doesn't Need Us." I believe why the future doesn't need us. Yeah, why the future doesn't need us. So go look that up and read that. I think it's like 18 pages. It's pretty lengthy, but yeah, read that, and then that will put flesh on bone as to what's going on here. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I'll leave the link down below. I will mention them. Of course, I always give credit where credit is due. So leave the link down below so you can watch the full video. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video real quick because it's something that continually needs to be talked about and harped on, because men are just they're hopeless. Men are leaving this earth prematurely because they just it's overwhelming. I understand the hurt and the meaninglessness that they feel, right? I've been there. I've felt that hurt, and nobody cares. Nobody's doing anything about it. What is there really to do, right? I mean, I can help myself on the individual level, and I can help one man at a time or a few at a time. I can put videos out like this just to shine a light what's really going on here, shine a light on it. But I hate to see this and hear this. I don't want this to be a reality, but it is, unfortunately. I'm sick of seeing the status quo continue on. I think a lot of people are, just the way that the world has headed, the way that it's going. And what's driving a lot of people mad, I think, is just waiting for the next shoe to drop, because the world is it's on a razor's edge right now. And it's been that way for a long time. And the elites, the central banksters, they're all just keeping it going. They're keeping this machine chugging along. And just when you think that they've run out of road, they somehow manage to find more road, right? So it's this limbo period that people are having trouble with, because I'm very white-pilled on the fact that when a lot of these systems fall apart, when they collapse, then something better will be built, right? Something that would be more altruistic, something that isn't communist in nature, something that isn't fascist in nature. But it's just people are, because of everything that people are consuming, and people are just so dead inside. There are a lot of people waking up, but it's not enough. We don't have the numbers, I don't think, or it's just people are too afraid. So many people are in fear, whatever the case may be. Drop down below what you think is going on as far as that goes. I don't know. A lot of people are at their wits' end. I understand it, and yeah, it's a lot. It's honestly a lot. People just don't really care. People don't care. Everyone's just zonked out, and there are a lot of men in my comment section. They're like, "Yeah, I just get drunk and play video games. That's really all I have left." That's what a lot of men, all they have left is just video games and beer. So that's not healthy. But I understand. All right, I empathize. But yeah, I'll leave it there, and I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.